Hey guys, the Common Man here. So today I have in front of me the Spyderco SpyMyto. I do want to give a full review of this knife. I really enjoy it, but there's one issue that it's developed, and I want to take care of that and also kind of get a disassembly and tuning under my belt before I do give a full review of it, because I think I can go into a review with a little bit more information if I take care of that first. So the issue that it's developed is, unfortunately, it has become uncentered. That blade, you can see, has actually shifted over towards the this micarta side scale a considerable amount just through the break-in period. There still is no blade play. It's very rock solid. It's really been an incredible knife. It's functioned beautifully, but again, that blade centering is just kind of something that bothers me. So I want to see if we can take care of that today, and then, like I said, we'll go ahead and disassemble it. We'll see what the construction is like on the inside. We'll see how easy it is to take apart, tune, and put back together. And yeah, I'm actually really excited to get into it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just go ahead and do just that. So all of these tools that I have here, my WIA bit set, screwdriver, Loctite, everything that you see here, except for this guy, all of these tools can be found in the description. I do have Amazon affiliate links. If you use those links, it does help the channel out, so I would appreciate it. But, you know, obviously that's your choice. You do what you want to do. We'll just go ahead and get into taking this guy apart. So I am going to assume that that is likely a, I think, you know, that might actually be a T10. Maybe. That might be a T10. I'd love it if it's a T10. Nah, it's not going to be a T10. I think it's a T8. Yeah, T8. Yep, that's what that's going to be. And darn, not this again. Alright, so we've got screws on either side. I really didn't even pay attention to that when I first looked at this knife and when I've been carrying it, that it does have screws on both sides. I'm hoping that it's going to be like a female side and a male side instead of having a barrel with two screws, but I guess we'll see. And if I can put some pressure on this side screw here, I'm going to see, just with my finger, I'm going to see if I can maybe turn this screw without having to use two tools here. And now, see, as I'm turning this screw here, I can feel this one turning. So we'll see what that's all about. Generally, what that means is you've got a free spinning barrel in there, which, if that's the case, that is kind of a bummer because we just dealt with that on the Berg blades. So I'm going to go find that cheap bit set so that I have another tool to use. Alright, so I've got my other tool set. I really don't care for this thing. I've said it before, I need to just get another one of these for when you do need two tools. And I did kind of beat up the Berg blades, the iron mutt, a little bit for requiring two tools. So I guess just to be fair, I am going to give this knife a bit of a hard time too. I really don't like when you need two tools to take a pivot apart. I really wish manufacturers would kind of get away from that. It just bothers me. It makes tuning a little bit more difficult. Obviously, disassembly and reassembly becomes more difficult because you got to do one of these things. So let's go ahead and crack that loose. So that is coming loose quite nicely. I think what I'm going to do is just keep that loose for now, and then I'm going to go through and take off the body screws. I do like to see that these look like these are going to be barrels, so there's not screw heads on this side, only on this side, and these are going to be awesome. So good job, Lionsteel, Spyderco, I guess, but really Lionsteel for using T8s on the body screws. I'm happy to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and just take these body screws right out. Alright. Good. Put that one there. And, you know, I'm sure I'm going to have to take this pocket clip off, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And this also is a T8. Very interesting on the pocket clip too, how it connects back here, kind of on the back end of the blade, or the handle. I think that's very cool. Makes for minimal hardware. You've just got this one large screw that holds that pocket clip, and then also it makes it so that it is easily reversible. So you can just you know, spin the pocket clip around, attach it to this side, and there you go, left hand carry, no problem. So that's always a nice thing to see. And then it looks like there is a metal insert. I'll have to figure out how that is in there, but there is a threaded metal insert inside of this, what I assume is a G10 backspacer. Look at that really cool design, by the way. I'll mention this in the review, which I'm going to be doing in just honestly right after this disassembly. But very cool on that backspacer. I really love that. So now that is, let's see. So it should be all the body screws off. So now I think we can just go ahead and keep going on the pivot screw. And I'm just going to take this all the way out because my plan is to just remove this micarta scale. All right, figure out where to put everything. Okay. Go ahead and see if we can just pop this. And sorry guys, I got some nicks and cuts on my hands. Please don't mind that. I've been going hard on that boat project, and I've been cutting myself up pretty bad working with all that fiberglass. That is some gnarly, gnarly stuff. All right. Boy, yeah, so that's on there pretty good. So I might need something to kind of pry this off a little bit. Although, actually, I can feel it. There we go. It's loosening up on that backspacer, so good. So, yeah, you can see it's got some barrels for those backspacers there. Okay, so micarta scale is off, and that's very nice. Just a solid chunk of micarta. I think that is so cool. Okay, put that over here. All right, so let's figure out. I was really interested in seeing how this bearing system works. So it's got kind of a metal washer that's going to sit right inside of that, micarta scale, because obviously you can't have a bearing running inside of micarta. Micarta is just not going to be hard enough, so you're going to need that metal race, I guess you can call it. And then you can see, very nice. So that is really what I think gives this knife such a solid feel, is that nice big diameter bearing there. Yeah, so you can see that the bearing balls kind of run in like multiple rows. Very cool. And that looks like maybe a G10. Yeah, kind of like a G10 casing. That's very interesting. Set that there. And then we've got the blade internal stop pin. Very cool. And then we've got this bearing on that side. We'll set the blade there. We've got that bearing, and then it looks like there is going to be another. Let's see if we can get that out of there. So it looks like there is an, oh yeah, obviously. Well, let's just take that. Let's just take the pivot barrel right out. All right. Set that there, and then this washer should come right out. I don't think it's going to be, there we go. Yeah, I was going to say it shouldn't have been a press fit, so it's just kind of set right in there, just like on the micarta side. So there's another washer there. Cool, and then we've got some oil down in there. This is a very cool opportunity to see this lock bar insert, which does double as an over travel stop. Very cool. So you've actually got the model number there. This is 435 out of 2000. Little bit of weight reduction there, some milling. Backspacer is attached just by these barrels, which you can see I'm pushing through right now. I don't think I'm gonna, yeah, you know what? Actually, it seems like it's gonna be easy enough. Let's go ahead and just pop that right off too. Hopefully that doesn't make this video way longer than it needs to be, but I just want to kind of show you guys this knife pretty much fully disassembled. I will not take the lock bar insert out. I generally don't mess with those. You usually don't have to. Okay. Oh yeah, okay. Well, and that actually gives us the opportunity to look at this threaded insert for the pocket clip. So, very cool. Interesting. That's a very small little piece. I could see that being lost very easily. And then this is the, yep, so that's going to be G10. So G10 backspacer there. Let's go ahead and put this back together. Let's wipe it up real quick. Just going to give that a nice wipe. And then, all right, so this this little insert here just slips right in this. There's a little groove, a little channel there. Slips right in there. That lines up beautifully. Good. All right, that made me nervous there for a second. As soon as you go fiddling with something that you don't need to be fiddling with, that's when bad things happen. So thankfully, I think we've avoided any issues here. But we're going to leave this together because, yeah, let's not get carried away here. Awesome. Okay, so we're all taken apart. All the pieces are over here. Let's go ahead and start cleaning them up. I'm just going to go ahead and use some alcohol. You know, same process as always, guys. Just use some alcohol. Go ahead and rub all of your locking surfaces, especially, you know, your pivot surfaces here. Make sure they're all free of any of that metal filings, metal dust. Get all of that out of there. Again, any lock faces, make sure you clean them up really nicely. If there's any oil on them, you want to get that off of there. And then I'll also take this opportunity to go ahead and just give the blade a really nice wipe down. Stuff that's all cleaned up. So let's go ahead and put this back in the same order that I took it apart. We got to clean this pivot barrel here. Just kind of roll that around, get that surface nice and clean. We will pop that through there, and yeah, let me just double check. Yeah, so this is one piece. Okay, so I was afraid it was going to be like a free spinning barrel with 2 screws going in on either end. That's not the case here. This is one piece. I would love for it to be kind of captured so it didn't spin, so like a D-shaped, but you know, it's whatever. It's all right. All right, so we'll pop that washer on there. Cool. Or less drops. There we go. Go ahead and put that blade back on there. I am going to throw just a little bit of lube down in that stop pin just because if there's any friction there. There really shouldn't be. That pin shouldn't really be touching these surfaces, but if it is, I just want to make sure there's a little bit of lubrication there to make sure everything moves freely. Do not put any lubrication on this lock face, though. Make sure no oil is getting onto that because that can cause lock stick. One thing you can do, though, is very carefully dab a little bit of oil on that detent ball right there. Just make sure that, again, I'm holding it upright so that none of that oil rolls down onto that lock face. You know, it's not going to be the end of the world if you accidentally get some lubricant on it. It's just, it could cause some funny lock engagement or disengagement. So a little drop of lubrication there. We'll go ahead and pop this guy back on. Get everything lined up, which it seems to be. Kind of move the blade. Kind of have to turn, you know, you kind of have to wiggle the blade just a little bit to get that pivot where it needs to be. It looks like it's already in. Let's check around, although no. So it looks like that stop pin possibly hasn't seated properly. Well, maybe it has. Well, let's go ahead and we'll get that pivot screw. Oh yeah. Don't forget, you want to put some Loctite, just some blue Loctite on that pivot screw. Just a little bit, you don't need much. I'm very happy that I don't have to switch through different bits. Everything here has been a T8. Although you do need 2 T8 bits, which I'm not thrilled about. At least everything has been the same bit size, so that's a very, very good thing. And now I can feel that it feels like that pivot barrel hasn't seated fully into the micarta. There we go. Now it did. Just a little bit of wiggling, and it's where it needs to be. I am going to go ahead and turn this down just to where it kind of not quite stops, but where you can feel it really starting to get a little bit tighter, and we're going to stop there. Because blade centering was an issue, I am going to keep that in mind when I'm reassembling this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these back spacers. I am going to crank them down and then turn them off to where they're loose. So what I'm doing by cranking it all the way down is sort of setting everything into position. So I will crank it down relatively tight, and then I'm going to back it off to where it's pretty much loose. And again, like I've explained in other videos, that allows both of these side scales to kind of shift as they need to. And we want that to happen because we want to make sure that this blade is oriented perfectly in that pivot so that we can get good blade centering. And obviously, as you can see here, that blade centering is extremely far off. So let's see what happens when we really crank this pivot down. So we're going to want to tighten the micarta side. All right, so we've gotten that crank down fairly tight, and you can see that it actually is. That's pretty much, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much centered there. Let's go ahead and crank these body screws down and see where we're at. Most likely my pivot right now is too tight. Are those free? Oh, you're kidding me. The body screws go into these free spinning barrels, and that's not super cool. Anyway. Wow, that's pretty close. That's surprising. Wow, okay. We might have just gotten it there. I've got no blade play. It is mostly drop shut, somewhat. I'm going to let that kind of work through. I want to let that lubricant kind of work all through those bearings. No way. Guys, this has potential to be the easiest tuning I've ever done. I don't want to speak too soon, but this is feeling really good. Okay, awesome. It is a little bit tight, so I'm actually going to back it off just a hair. Too much. Wow. Okay. That's pretty much it. I'm going to just tighten it just a tad more. Okay, wow. Well, that was it. That has to be the easiest tuning I've ever done on a knife. That's pretty awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get this body clip back on here. Body clip, pocket clip. You got to kind of line this up. This is actually kind of funky how this works. You sort of have to just like hold it into position to get that screw started. And there we go. And then once this pocket clip is on and tightened down, I'm going to check the pivot one more time, because anything you do could potentially affect that pivot or the action, because anything that screws into this knife could, you know, shift things around a little bit. You never know. So you always want to kind of double check everything. But let's see. Yeah, that blade centering may not be 100% right. It's way better than it was. Way better than it was, that's for sure. Sorry guys, you're just going to watch me flipping this knife over and over and over again. But again, I'm trying to get that lubricant kind of moved around through those bearings, and then also just trying to get everything kind of worked in together. Yeah, so I am actually going to really quickly, because when I put that pocket clip back on there, it did change things just a tad. So it did take the centering off just a hair. So I think what I'm going to do is loosen this. Go ahead and get, should have a piece of paper around here. Go ahead and cram this paper down in here to shove that blade over. Again, anytime I use this method, guys, I need to give Metal Complex a shout out, because this is his method. It just works so incredibly well. Alright, so let's do that. We've got that shoved over pretty far. We'll go ahead and tighten the body screws. How tight are we? Pretty tight. Back it off just a tad. Let's try it one more time. Should have, from the very beginning, just gotten that blade moved all the way over, but I didn't think we'd have to go that crazy with it. But you can see now that blade is pretty much touching this side scale. It's moved over so far. So now we crank that down. Get those body screws tight. Yeah, that's it. Well, I mean, that's acceptable. You can see it's just a tad still over to the micarta side. I do wish it was a little bit more centered, but again, it's better than it was. I don't think that that's going to get any better. I think that what's happening is this pocket clip is just, it's making these two scales, I think, settle kind of funny, so that that blade is now just ever so slightly tweaked in that pivot. But the thing is, it's such a rock solid lockup. It's got beautiful action still. I'm very happy with the action. It's within reason for me. I think I'm happy with it. Anyway, guys, that's that. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the full review of this guy. I will mention this disassembly in it, and I've really, really enjoyed it. So anyway, watch out for that video. That's coming soon. Thanks, guys. If you like the video, please leave a like. If you want to see more of my knife, EDC, and occasional garage content, please consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it.